Tom.
You ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now at the stage where we can see that the bricklayers have been in. You can see that they've come through and they've laid all their bricks up to the required height for where the floor is going to be. Okay, so the height that was gauged to was determined by basically trying to tie the new extension back to the existing house. So, and there was a little bit of discrepancy over the old house being 30 years old. It was about 15 millimetres out from this side of the house to the other. So we sort of worked to the middle ground. But you can see here that we've allowed for the new bearers and joists to finish up at the same height as the existing top of the joist there. So the bottom plate will finish at the same height in this new area here. Okay, because I think we're using a different size bearer and joist to what's in there, but the finished floor height will be the same. Okay, so you can see that the brickies came through. Now there's about 2,000 bricks in this, okay, and they did that in one day. There was a team of 5 brickies here and one labourer. So yeah, they got all this done in one day, which is pretty good going. Like we spoke about the other day with the steps in the footing. Okay, now this will show you what we actually mean by that, where you can see that step that was in the footing there, okay, has worked full brick courses. Okay, so basically they didn't have to cut a brick along its length. Any of these step ups, okay, so you can see there's a step up here, and then that course runs through, steps up again, next course runs through, steps up again. Now what that's trying to do, that's trying to just follow the grade of the dirt, the grade of the existing ground. Okay, because you want to avoid cutting if you can. Inside, okay, so inside you can see on here that the dwarf wall, the brick dwarf wall, has been laid up to the right height. Now, over here is the same situation. Okay, dwarf wall up to the right height. This is probably a bit of easy way to see it. Now, on the back of the dwarf wall, they've got the attached piers. Okay, attached piers here. Now, where some people call them engaged piers or attached piers. These are attached because they're not actually laid into the dwarf wall, they're just laid against it. Whereas an engaged pier would have the bricks tying back into it. These attached piers do two things. Number one, they give the dwarf wall stability. Okay, so it's not just a single skin of 110mm bricks, which loses a bit of its stability the higher it gets. Okay, so it gives the wall stability, but it also gives something for the timber bearer to come through and sit on. Alright, so the bearer is going to sit here. These straps that you see everywhere, okay, what they're doing is they are there to tie the bearer down. So when the bearer comes through and sits on here, that'll wrap over the top of the bearer, okay, and fix down onto it. Okay, to stop that bearer lifting. In the same way, okay, now these other piers, these ones here are isolated piers sitting on a pad footing or a blob footing. Okay, so we've got a 230 by 230 isolated pier. Now, we spoke before about these rods coming up out of the footing, and this has been chem set into the concrete footing, the pad footing. Now what will happen is the bearer will get a 10 or 12 mil hole drilled in it, and it'll slide over the top of that down onto the pier, and then threaded rod will go down just to tie that bearer down. Okay, but before that can happen, there's got to be some snakeskin DPC go down on top of this, okay, to stop the rising moisture coming up, and then a galvanised ant capping over that as well to stop the termites, and then silicon around the penetration for the booker rod, and then the bearer can go on top of that. Okay, so you can see that there's all these, or anywhere there's a pier, there's booker rod. Okay, so on every one of these piers there's booker rod around here. Now, what we can also see while we're here, maybe come around this side, Obes. Alright, so what we can see here as well is the vents that the brickies have put in. Okay, so those vents allow for ventilation under the house so that the subfloor area doesn't become too moist or humid, which will, it's just going to attract termites and cause rot in your timber, which is going to shorten the life of it. So having plenty of ventilation allows for the movement of air under a house, which is really critical. Now those vents have gone in every couple of metres to allow for adequate ventilation through here. On the outside of the house, we put in these vents with the mesh in there to stop rodents and birds and possums and stuff getting under there. But in the subfloor, okay, they just leave a brick open, which is allowing ventilation to go through. Okay, so, and if you have a look, you can see that they've placed the vents, like the bearers are going to run in this direction. Bearer, 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 and bearer, and the joist will go the other way. So you can see that wherever they've got a bearer, they've got a vent in between each bearer. Okay, so there's a vent, and then another vent here, just to allow for as much airflow in both directions as you can get. Okay, what else do we need to say? Yeah, I know. What you can see here is an expansion joint. Okay, so they've put in this 10mm foam. The bricklayers have laid it into the bricks. Now, the reason why they do that is just to allow for any movement that might be in the brick walls. Okay, they've got to have them in every 6 metres, I think it is. Put a expansion joint in every 6 metres just to allow for the movement in the bricks so it won't crack. Normally they're put either beside a window or behind a downpipe where you're not going to see it. Okay, now that would run, if this was a brick veneer house, it would run the whole way up the wall. Okay, but because this is the height of the brick where they're going to finish, that's where it runs out at. I know, last thing. Over here you can see the access hole. Okay, so the brickies have left an opening 700 wide to allow for access to get under the house once the floor's all in. Okay, this will be the access point to get under the house, and then you can see they've left another one there and there to get under all the different parts of the house. Okay, because this being an extension, it's been added on, means that you need to be able to get access to everywhere so you can get in and inspect for, termites and things like that. Okay, so the next thing that's going to happen here is there's a delivery of timber coming tomorrow. Floor joists, bearers, particle board sheets for the flooring. Now that's all coming tomorrow, so we can start building up some floor frames and then really get stuck into it. All right, so things are progressing pretty quick. Everything we've seen so far from the digging of the footings, or even from the marking out of the footings, to this point where the bricklayers have laid up to here, has taken a week. Okay, so it's been moving really well. Okay, so hopefully that continues and we get into it and get a lot done. All right, but we'll film more once it happens. Thanks, Abs.
Peace.
Peace.